Hello everybody, Jack Brooks here, and welcome back to the Shreveport Plush trilogy. This is the favorite film I've ever made thus far. This is Sharon and the Vege plot. It's definitely a yeah. It's definitely a yeah. Unlike a lot of things I've made, this is definitely a yeah. I like it. I like Tell Two Gnomes too. Don't get me wrong, but this is definitely a yeah. In fact, it's a certified hood classic. So, little audio sync. We'll be playing this in 3, 2, now. So, what is there to say about Sharon and the Veg Pop? Well, a lot. There's a lot to say about it. For starters, this is my first time working with a 4:3 classic TV ratio, as you can see right there. So why did I want to do that? Why did I want to do a 4:3 classic TV ratio? Well, in case if you didn't know, I'm very much so in love with the Wallace and Gromit films. Oh, and I really like that shot right there. This is a really good opening, just by the way. Anyways, I'm very in love with the Wallace and Gromit films, and I really like how it tries to capture... It tries to spoof, like, old Hitchcock movies, which I've always been so fascinated with. So I wanted to make something suspenseful and mysterious, kind of like your standard Wallace and Gromit film. So I have this 4:3 ratio, very classic looking thing, very classic looking flick. I wanted it to mimic the style of a mid-90s TV opera. So we have music, we have APM music made by Laurie Johnson and Trevor Duncan and some other fellas to kind of encapsulate that feel. And we also have some film grain, some old-timey film grain, but you can barely see it on YouTube. On YouTube, that is, because, you know, YouTube doesn't really like grain. Well, it's not that it doesn't like grain, it's just standard quality will, like, just flatten the grain to where you can't see it. And this is the first time I've done something with face changes. So those are just pieces of paper painted black or colored black, and I put it over their eyes and over their mouths. And that's the first time I've had to do something like that, which is a feat for me, a feat for my patience, because I don't have the best patience in the world. Very proud of that reflection in the window of Red Burrow. Makes him look like he's actually there. So, I thought that was a fun puppetry trick. When Red Burrow passes by, it reveals that Sharon's actually kind of pissed at Red Burrow for just walking on in. And this was in front of a green screen because I couldn't dolly, couldn't do a tracking shot while holding those two plushies. So, did in front of a green screen, did a little dolly shot of my own, and here we are. I just really like the look of this one. The colors are nice. The colors are really nice, and that grain makes everything fizzle and jizzle. But there are some things that I don't like. Some parts are a little too quiet. Like this part's a little quiet and awkward right here. But you know, I still find it good. I think it's just Red Burrow. He's an awkward character by himself. So that's Sharon and Victoria not really know what the flip is going on with him. So that's the entire point of the movie, actually. Just Red Burrow's a creep, and we have to stop him. And I don't know what he's up to though. So we have to say some really fucked up shit right here. Listen to this. Luscious, juicy, voluptuous fruits and vegetables. Alright, so that's actually something I said to my grandma. Don't let that go out of context. It's because she sends us fruits for Christmas for some reason. I always say something weird like that to her. Because why not? As you can see, Victoria is reading a little book called The Rab Public, based off of The Republic by Plato. That's who wrote The Republic, right? By Plato? Yeah, I think so. Anyways, I was going to do a little miniature bed. Didn't really have time to do that, so... This works too, it doesn't look bad. Yeah, at least the plushies are big enough to really look like they fit in, nevertheless. Pretty swag. Oh yeah, oh yeah! Speaking of that, speaking of big plushies, Victoria was supposed to be a dude. This was supposed to be a hetero flick, hetero romance. But the puppet makers couldn't find... I wanted them to be this certain size, and we already had Sharon and Redborough, who were this perfect size, and the puppet makers had to make clothes for them, but they didn't have enough material to make big boy clothes. But they only had enough to make girl clothes for the good size for the puppets. So I couldn't. They said I don't know if we can make a decent sized boy rabbit if we don't have the clothes for it. So I just said, fuck it, Chige, make Victor, because that was what he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be Victor. Make Victor a girl. So we're gonna call her Victoria. It's a little switcheroo right there, and it works. Nothing too sketchy. In fact, it works out rather perfectly. So, this is just an attic space. You can definitely tell from all the weird white fluff everywhere, the fiberglass. But, well... So we get to see Redborough's process right here. That looks like a nugget. That looks like a weed nug. But it's just some veg that he plucked out from the garden. So we get to see what he does right here. So I got a lot of my props from Hobby Lobby. Very good snags, very good snags. Again with... This is why I like making plush videos more than making human videos. Now, always remember this. Because when you get to make plush videos, you really have to think outside of the box. You really have to think outside of the box. I feel like there's a lot more credibility that can go to you if you make plush videos, because... Or any sort of puppeteering videos, because you really have to think creatively of how you have to do things. Like building sets, making sets. This is some of my greatest set design. When I was at Hobby Lobby shopping for shit, I really had to think of how I wanted these shots to look. Now look at that. There was a deleted shot at the beginning where we see those two pumpkins and it looks like a smiley face. Now right there it looks like a frowny face. At the beginning it was supposed to be a smiley face, but I thought it dragged the attention away from Victoria and Sharon, so I just removed it. So yeah, that shot kind of comes out of nowhere. No one really sees that's a frowny face, because I don't really set it up. I don't get to set it up at the beginning. And look how freaking windy it was. It was insanely windy this day. Insanely windy. Now look at this. Remember my 180 rule break from A Tale of Two Gnomes? We have one right there. Because Sharon has some sort of power shift right there. Tori thinks that she can maybe calm Sharon out of her veg trance, but Sharon is just a few... Her mind is on her last legs, so... She's the one in control right there. I had to reshoot that because I didn't like what I did originally, so I waited for those flowers to bloom, and we had the pretty shot of her right next to those beautiful, gorgeous flowers. So that Redborough walking shot didn't look amazing. It had some green screen noise, and you kind of see a weird shadow, but it just kind of looks like it's his shadow on the grass, so... You know, whatever, you can kind of hear the ambient noise in the background start to distort itself as Sharon sees Redborough. And that goofy-ass hat. It does its job, the hat. Just kind of hides her ears. You can't really tell that she's a rabbit. Now there's a bit of a goof right here, or in a few seconds. So we get to see more of Red Burrow's process. Alright, so remember how, keep in mind how Red Burrow snug a leaf from a big tree, from a big tree, just a few seconds ago. Just keep that in mind. So he steals more veg from Tucker's top veg. And the goof right there was that the sign fell over. But, oh well. And there's another goof right there. Sharon's not wearing her hat. And now she is. Oh well, that just could have meant that she picked it up. It was just on a seat nearby and she just picked it up. Oh well, not a lot of people seem to notice that. So I tried making this area look like some... like the slums. The slums! Yeah. This is the first thing I shot. Very crisp quality. Ooh, that's a clean shot. When you get to see the detail and when the background just blurs out like that, it's just so clean. It's so clean. I love shit like that. Yeah. I like that shot too. Just the very shaky pan from Red Burrow to Sharon behind the wall. Kind of gives you a shaky feeling. Was that good? Was that good? Is that good, dude? Was that good? It bonks his head on the fence right there. No need for retakes, because why not? So we have him there. I thought this is a very good looking scene. Just that nice, again, 4K with overcast. I don't like overcast. Naturally, I don't. It depresses me. But damn, it looks... overcast looks good. And, when you're shooting with 4K, it really makes a lot of colors pop out. Gives you a really cool feeling, which is rather awesome. It's rather awesome. Get to see that the gorgeous pink bush. Don't know what sort of bush that is, but oh well, it is what it is. And I remember showing this to my stepdad, and when the door shut behind Sharon, he just made an ape face. He was like, "Oh my god, looks like Sharon's in for it, ain't she?" I was like, "Yes, stepdad, yes, you are so correct. You are so freaking correct." That shot could have been better. That shot could have been better. I could have made it look like he was actually doing shit. But he's just kind of sitting there. So we have, look at that, Tucker's Veg. Now, keep in mind the big tree. Keep in mind. And also look at this. Watch what happens right here. I do some sort of weird slide-in transition. And the reason I did that is because the camera is just supposed to revolve around the pillar, but you see my shadow, and I don't like that. You know how I am with shadows in plush videos. I just don't fucking like that at all. And I like that shot. You can see the bottle right under her, right in her reach, if you know what I mean. But anyways, you can see my shadow in that, so I said, no, we have to hide that somehow. So I just came up with that slide in. It didn't look amazing, but hey, that's its job. So veg plus bigger and better DNA equals bigger, better veg. So bigger, better DNA from the big tree. So just thought that'd be clever, very clever. And notice how there's no talking. Because why should anyone have to talk for this? You can see. That's what films are for, is to see. You watch the process, you read things, you read emotions, you read motions, and you just see for yourself. You don't need anyone to explain anything. You should just really see and know. Because if a film doesn't show you, if you're lost because the film didn't show you anything, then that film did something wrong. The director did something wrong. But I made it to where you could see things. And I didn't treat the audience like a bunch of idiots. So never undermine your audience's intelligence. Because your audience isn't dumb. Because again, that's what films are for. They see things, the audience sees things, and it picks it up. You shouldn't have to explain anything. That's not really good visual storytelling. So we have this. One more thing I should say is I put this little audio overlay over the audio to make it sound like it was old and coming from a TV, and it only really works on my audio for Redborough. The Miss Farley and Miss Micolo have these cleaner mics, I guess. So the vintage, well, classic TV audio overlay didn't really work on their lines as cleanly as it did for mine. You can really tell that he did something to the audio on mine. I like that shot right there, just a close shot of Tori, just a face to face. There was that was green screened right there for Redborough because they didn't have a hand free. So yeah, kick him in the nuts, sock him in the face. So he looked really blue right there. I don't know why, because I did some sort of color grading, and it just made that green screen overlay for Redborough look super blue. And hey guys, here's a little tip: do not do autofocus with manual shutter speed. Do not do autofocus with manual shutter speed, or it will just start blinking. The footage will just start blinking. And you kind of saw... You kind of... Back there with Sharon and Tori, you just kind of see this weird blinking, this flashing. That's autofocus with manual shutter speed. Do not do that. If your characters are moving, you can do auto, but do auto shutter speed too. If your characters are not moving, do manual focus, and do manual shutter speed. It shouldn't be it shouldn't be mix matched. It should be they're either both auto and both manual, or die. Have some weird flashy footage. Weird flashing footage. This clip looks really weird. But it also looks pretty clean, like right there. I guess it's because just some more distant things are not really in focus. And again, I'm watching this on YouTube, so there's not, it's SD. It's SD for me right now. So I don't have the greatest quality for playback. But I really like these close-ups, especially of Tori. Those freckles. It's something I added to her. I thought her face looked a little blank, so I give her some beauty marks, some quirkiness. And I also thought her ears were a little too floppy for my liking, so I tied them into a little do-rag, as my mom likes to call it. So they smooch right in front of the flowers. And to end it off, we pan to the empty veg plot right there. Now, what was that supposed to symbolize? That acts like it was supposed to symbolize something, but it doesn't really symbolize anything. Sorry about the fucking weed whacker outside. I was not expecting that to happen today. I would like to thank Miss Francine Farley and Miss Mandy Micolo, if I'm saying her last name correctly, I don't think I am, and Mr. Miller and Mr. Cummings for the craftsmanship, and Miss Farley and Miss Micolo for their voice talent. Very great, very talented. This was Sharon in the Veg Plot. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you with, I don't know.